Now, humans are inherently social. We are social beings. We come into this world as a result of others' actions, and we survive here in dependence on others. And whether we like it or not, there is hardly a moment of our lives when we do not benefit from others' activities. And for this reason, it's hardly surprising that most of our happiness, most of it, arises in the context of our relationships with others. However, as you are well aware, with COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic and all the things accompanying it like quarantine and isolation, social distancing, all this is against our very nature, that yearning, that our default setting, that yearning for social interaction. And it can be difficult to know how to help a loved one, a friend, someone who's close to you with COVID-19 when you can't physically be there with them. But there are ways that you can help someone with COVID-19 without putting yourself at risk. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 simple yet effective things that you can do to support a loved one affected by COVID-19 when you can't physically be there. So number one, make a call. Perhaps the easiest first step is to reach out directly and make a phone call to see how the person is doing. It's simple, but it's so effective. You may wish to stay in contact more frequently than usual, to keep in touch and to prevent the person from feeling isolated. And I guess the important takeaway for you here is just to be present. You know the person you are worried about. So I encourage you to really take the time to connect with them. You know, isolation isn't fantastic, and being stressed about having COVID isn't either. Try and be extra thoughtful during this period. You know, little goes a long way. If they are a sushi lover, for instance, let them know that a sushi order is on the way. And if they're more low-key, tell them to phone you when they're up to chatting. They want to chat, so you don't have to infringe on their privacy. And if you wish to have a bit more contact than you can get through a regular phone call, you can always consider video chatting through apps like Zoom or WhatsApp or FaceTiming, depending on how comfortable the person is with technology, of course. And importantly, if you've made several phone calls that haven't been returned and you are truly concerned for the safety of your friend or loved one, consider calling for emergency assistance to check on them. The point I'm making here is that there are a million little ways to say I'm thinking of you during this time, and those aren't necessarily on the list, but I'm sure they are in your heart. And number two is listen and ask how to help. If your friend or loved one does talk with you on the phone, the best thing you can do is to provide a listening ear. Just being there and listen, to offer support, could be the most important thing that you can do during this time. Ask what you can do to help, but also consider offering to do specific tasks or to drop off specific items. Do they have a dog that needs walking or other outdoor chores that can help, that you can help with? It could be that person is overwhelmed mentally and unable to think of what they need at that moment, or afraid to be a burden on you. And you know, it's like that. And if you can't physically go out yourself to drop off groceries or other supplies to your friend or loved one, there's other options. There are other options that you can use. You know, here in South Africa, most of our retailers, they offer online delivery options, and that might include local deliveries of groceries, personal care needs or medication, or it could even mean deliveries of books or magazines, etc., or other items to help them pass time. And that brings me to the next point, which is number 3, is drop off meals and groceries. Now, a person affected by COVID-19 may not have had time to stock up on unnecessary supplies of food to last for the quarantine period. If someone has tested positive for COVID, the first thing the doctor tells them is that they need to isolate, and perhaps the positive result came as a surprise and they didn't have time to stock up, which can happen. What you can do is consider preparing a few healthy freezer meals or doing a drop-off of a bag full of fresh groceries. Healthy foods like whole grains, vegetables and fruits, along with pantry staples, with a long shelf life are the smartest choices. Other items that you could include might be laundry, detergent, soap, toothpaste, hand sanitizers, and toilet paper if the stores permits. And just make sure that you are doing a contactless drop-off to avoid spreading potential contamination. And just on that point, what is this thing about toilet paper and COVID-19? I remember last year when COVID broke out, people went ballistic all over the place, buying up all the toilet paper. I still don't get it. I still don't understand why. And perhaps you know. So let me know in the comment section below. Why do people go out and buy up all the toilet paper? I mean, do they eat toilet paper? I'm thinking more about maybe non-perishable items, things that can last longer, or even if it is perishable items versus toilet paper. Isn't that the logical option? Maybe you must just share some clarity for me and everybody else who's also wondering. Where would we be without social media? I can't even fathom that fact. Just the thought alone. If your friend or loved one is on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or Snapchat or even YouTube, stay in touch with him by sharing photos, videos or updates, or some of my motivational videos. You can go through my extensive playlist and you'll find something there, I'm sure, to brighten up their day. Well, I just had to throw it in there. The best approach to social media at this time will be to balance positivity with reality. That's very important. A person who is in isolation due to COVID-19 doesn't need to be told to stay at home or to constantly be reminded of how many people died of the virus, how the hospitals are filling up. So just be sensitive in this regard. Put yourself in their shoes. That person needs social connection and support more than anything at this time. Number 5, send a letter. Now your friend or loved one may appreciate receiving a letter or card through the postal services. I mean, you go old school on this, physically written letter or postcard, particularly if they are in the older adult category. A handwritten card or letter is something that they can tuck away and read again and again when they need to feel supported or are struggling with feeling isolated. It's so nostalgic. There is just something special about it, and I promise you, they will treasure it for a very long time. Perhaps we should all take up the challenge and just send or post a handwritten letter to a loved one, COVID or not. It is just something special. I think I'm going to do it. Let's all try it. And next is do a shared activity. Now, one way to stay socially connected might be to suggest a shared activity that will keep you in regular contact. Examples here might include reading one chapter of a book each day and talking about it online, writing together in an online journal, or watching a particular movie at the same time and texting or instant messaging about it, your favorite parts of the movie, playing online games against each other, or listening to the same audiobooks. From experience, I know that doing a shared activity gives the person something to do, and it gives you a reason to stay in regular contact with them. And it's a great way to just be there for them. And next is keep them informed. Now, while you don't want to make someone who is isolated feel more alarmed than necessary about the situation of the world, you being a source of reliable information, and that's important, reliable information, because we are bombarded. Don't know about you, but we are bombarded with so many conspiracy theories, and you could help to dispel any myths that they may be subjected to through social media. And this means keeping yourself informed by listening to reputable sources of information such as large news agencies, public health organizations, and government advisories. Those faced with quarantine, and you know what I'm talking about, are more likely to feel distressed if they have unclear information and communication, which can be the case during the pandemic. So you do what you can to minimize the impact of these issues by passing on as much as possible reliable information that you feel comfortable with sharing with them. And number 8 on my list is ask about finances. Now, while it may feel uncomfortable asking about money, but if you know your friend or loved one might be facing financial pressures or living paycheck to paycheck without an emergency fund, it may be wise to check up on their financial health. If you are in a position to help, financially of course, that could be an option to temporarily ease their burden. Depending on how well you know the person, you can also offer to help them organize their finances or pay bills to relieve their mental burden and help where you can. And number 9 is give them a routine. It sounds simple, but it's effective. Now, having a regular daily routine during isolation or quarantine is likely to help the person's mental health and mood. Having a routine, it can be helpful in times of unpredictability, uncertainty, and stress. It reduces stress in actual fact. Your routine can also benefit your mental and physical health. It's things like getting enough sleep, simple things, getting a regular exercise and going to bed at a certain hour each night are just as important during isolation as they are at other times. And if you feel as though your friend or loved one is struggling to maintain feelings of normalcy, try to help them establish something of a routine to carry them through their period of isolation or quarantine. And last but not least is prepare yourself. And I sincerely hope that you won't forget about yourself, because you can't just go out there and save the world and lose yourself. Your mental health, your well-being is also of utmost importance. And I sincerely hope that this video was of value to you and that I've shared with you some of the things on my list that you can physically use to help and support someone who's going through a very, very tough time, and specifically with this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic that we are facing, and it's still affecting people all over the world. And if this video was of value to you, can I kindly ask you, if you haven't, to please subscribe to my channel, to like this video, to share it, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And don't forget about the toilet paper. I still want to know why people buy toilet paper instead of food. Thank you so much, everybody. And I will see you soon. Bye for now.